thank everyone who has come out tonight to share in this, what I call a celebration. We're celebrating this, the kickoff of this campaign. And we did not start this without a lot of prayer, without a lot of contemplation, and we will continue to pray throughout this entire process. I want to thank all of the program participants and to all of the elected officials in the building, in this room tonight. I thank you. I want to acknowledge representative from Senator West's office. Would you please stand, Ms. LaWanna Barton, who is the district director of Senator West's office. Thank you for being here. Now let me acknowledge my family. My family puts up with me. Now, if you've ever heard me speak about service, my passion for service, that is, you've heard me talk about what my mother always said, so I have to repeat this over and over, and that is charity begins at home. And she used to say charity begins at home and spreads abroad. And so that has been ingrained in me. And then she would say, you know, God didn't place us here to be served, but to serve. And so that's all I've ever known all of my life. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the journey continues. I am proud to stand here today, or tonight, positioned to continue my loyal, dedicated, and enthusiastic service as your mayor of this all-America city, DeSoto, Texas. And I just want to spend a few minutes sharing with you some of my accomplishments, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my platform. And so, and before any of you leave, I want to encourage you. This information is on the website. And for anybody wanting to know more about me, my background, my accomplishments, my platform, CurtisteneMcCowan.com. I urge you to have them go to the website. So please bear with me as I share with you some of my accomplishments. We have lowered the tax rate each year as mayor. And even this started during Mayor Sherman's term, but we have continued to hold steady on the tax rate. For 4 years, for 4 consecutive years, the city of DeSoto did not increase the tax rate. And for the last 4 years, we have reduced the tax rate. So the last 3 years since I've been mayor, we have continued to do and to honor the commitment we made to continue to bring that tax rate down. And we have worked tirelessly to manage the finances wisely while also saving the taxpayers money on their property tax bill. And you all bear with me. I've been talking so that I've lost my voice. In sum, we have not raised taxes for 8 years and lowered the tax rate, as I mentioned, 4 straight years, and still had a $3 million budget surplus at the end of the last fiscal year. So, ladies and gentlemen, my DeSoto family and friends, what I said during my State of the Union, I'm not the president, State of the City message, I'm not the president. My State of the City message just a few days ago, the state of our city is strong, and I also added this year. The state of our city is solid as a rock. We're also working on small businesses and promoting our small businesses, and one of the things that I did to provide some leadership, when I heard that there was 26,000 square feet of space left vacant in the old Ace Hardware Shopping Center, and I heard that another dollar store may be coming. And I was like, really? Is that the best we can do? We can do better than that. We can do better than that. I have nothing against dollar stores. I shop at dollar stores. but we have pretty much an oversaturation in a community that's less than, right under 22 square miles. We're right at 22 square miles. And so we established the first of its kind small business incubator in partnership with a developer in this area, a prominent developer. We established a public-private partnership servicing a variety of micro businesses ranging from restaurants to a full-service fitness rehabilitation center. The incubator is especially beneficial to women and minority-owned businesses who rely on a shop DeSoto first mantra to succeed. I want you to support these small businesses. Some of them are really struggling, and if we want to see these businesses succeed, we need to support them. And if we see things that they need to do to improve how they do business, we need to tell them so in a very diplomatic way to help them improve how they do business. And so, this vacant property on Beltline, had it not been for our actions to call in the developer and get economic development team around the table and our city manager, guess where we might be? We may be looking at another dollar store. So I am proud of this partnership and investment in our entrepreneurs. So let's give our small business incubators some encouragement and a round of applause. Another initiative that I am very proud of, and one thing I want to say is that when you run for council or when you're sitting on the city council, you don't have to be mayor to bring forward ideas that you would like to see happen in your city, things you'd like to do to improve how our city conducts business or just innovation period for this great city. And so this particular initiative was the Domestic Violence Advisory Committee that I thought we should have because of the horrific incidents we had witnessed in this community. And this was prior to my running in 2012. Murders and plus, knowing that domestic violence was the number one, had ranked number one among the calls to the police department, domestic and family violence. So I had already begun to do research. I had already begun to visit shelters. I went and met with Dr. Weta Lee so that we could pray about it. She had a very, her concern and passion to get something done. When I walked away from Dr. Lee's office, I thought, I am on the right track. I will have the support. And I just believe if I bring this to council that we establish a committee and put our money where our mouths are, we can at least begin to eradicate this huge problem in our community. And so that is what I did. I started that in 2012. You don't have to be mayor to bring new initiatives forward for consideration. And so we now have not just a domestic violence committee, we elevated it by ordinance to a domestic violence advisory commission. And that commission is working to eradicate domestic violence. And our efforts have led to a 17% reduction in domestic violence and family violence overall. And guess what? By bringing those numbers down as it relates to domestic violence, overall crime in this city in 2018 reduced 25%. So there's so much more I could say about that. And if you live in the city, there is a program coming up in April. Mary Kay, give me the date, please. April 6th, I'm sorry. But just please, I don't want to get off track announcing events, but I want you to make sure you stay tuned for the domestic violence event coming up on April 6th here at Town Center. One of the other things we've done, and where I really got involved, is to expand commercial development. The robust development of our industrial park, as you may know, and those of you who are here may not, but I'm happy to tell you, it's the envy of Southern Dallas County. Each year, new companies move into our community, bringing hundreds of jobs, internships for our students, and new tax revenue that helps offset residential property taxes. A lot is happening, a lot of growth, as you have seen, has taken place in the industrial park. And so we have been strategic in purchasing vacant land to control our own development, our own destiny, if you will, and to make sure that quality is our first priority. It is time out, as I mentioned earlier, dollar stores, well, chicken places too. It's time out for dollar stores and chicken places. Not on my watch. We need to do more than that, and I can assure you that the City of DeSoto and the Economic Development Corporation board and staff, all of us, are working collaboratively to make sure that we can move our economic development initiatives to a whole new level. Right, Pastor Crone? He is Vice President of our Economic Development Board. Where's our president? Did he have to leave? The president of the EDC board, tall guy, former pro football player with white hair, Perry Holloway. He came, and he and his son, there's your son, would you please wave? Your dad was here, so he's representing. Thank you for staying. And I know they had to move on to some other things, but Perry Holloway is the new president of EDC, and Pastor Crone is the vice president, so we're working very hard with economic development, so stay tuned. Our key programs that I have championed, I just want to run through those pretty quickly. I mentioned domestic violence, and so we now have a commission. The annual ethics training. I could not believe that we were not doing at least annually ethics training. And so when I was chair of the audit and the audit committee for the city, after coming on council, we instituted the annual ethics training, background checks for boards and commission applicants, because they have a lot of responsibility. And before we before the council approve board and commission appointees, they go through a background check. The City of DeSoto Fraud Hotline. You know, when I talk about you have to be engaged, you have to go to training, you can't just expect all these things to come to us. We have to reach out and avail ourselves of free opportunities. One is tuning in online and listening to some of the presentations that you can get free. This fraud hotline that we now have came as a result of me sitting in my home office, reading that this would be presented by a company, a reputable company, why we should have a fraud hotline, how much money it could save a city or an organization, in our case, the City of DeSoto. And this hotline is now up and available. If you suspect fraud by whether it is council members, city employees, and contractors, whatever, if there's an area as far as city business that you believe is fraud, that you have a question that it may be fraud, you can contact or at least dial that number. It's on the website, the fraud hotline, and it is anonymous. That information remains anonymous, or you do, if you report. The city's first, and I emphasize first, public transportation program. We did not have one. And some people didn't want one, but things have changed. And we're trying to stay connected. There needs to be that interconnectivity beyond DeSoto and outside our community to get people to jobs. That we're trying to bring in these jobs. There are also jobs in other areas of the region. companies need qualified employers. And so for our DeSoto residents, we felt, and especially, and I'm going to say especially, the need to have some type of transportation for our seniors. We didn't have that. So now we have two forms of transportation. The taxi cab program, it was a grant, again, being nosy, going to meetings, finding out about this, all of this that could be available. It's not a given. You have to do your homework and you have to apply and qualify. Now, the taxi cab program is not as large as the Star Transit program that we have. That is, the public transportation is limited. Yes, it is, but it's more than we had. And again, being the prudent leaders that we are, we invested as much of our budget as we could to pilot the program, where you should see the ridership. The ridership report, and we just received another report during our retreat last weekend, that the ridership is up and growing. And so that says that our community really needed and wants to keep this. So the council, I believe I'm safe in saying that Star Transit will continue, and hopefully we can add another bus. One of the reasons we were able to get Star, I don't just credit myself with it, but I am now on the North Central Texas Council of Governments board. I sit at the table on that board. I do. If you are not at the table, you're going to be part of the menu. You're going to get eaten up. And so I see all this money going north and west, northwest. And so I feel like if we're at the table at these meetings, we get to hear and see and stay on top of what is going on. And also, we are able then to refer this to our city manager and his team. If there are grants available, then we can start doing our work to get some of that grant money. And Star Transit is as a result of grant funds that come from the North Central Texas Council of Governments. So let me move on. Public transportation. One of the things that's not on the website, my husband reminded me of. He said, didn't you take the Vision 2022 idea to the city manager? I said, yes, I did. And it was something I learned from serving on another board that we needed to do. I serve on the Methodist Charlton Advisory Board. I'm the chair-elect of that board, but I also am on the planning committee for the big system, for Methodist Health System. So I get to see all of this dynamic work going on and the planning that goes on. And so because of that, I said, we got to start planning beyond 2 years. So at the time, when I went to the city manager, it was Vision 2022. Well, they hired a consultant, some work was done on the staff, and by the time everything was put together, it is now Vision 2023, and we're getting ready to roll out Vision 2023, the plan, Vision 2023. And what that will help all of us do, you will be able to track not only the council's goals and objectives, which you've been able to see on the website, our business plan, but how we're working toward achieving those goals that we've included in the business plan. It's all about being more transparent, right? All right. Now, here's why I'm running for re-election as mayor of DeSoto, my platform. Number one listed on my platform is to improve DeSoto public schools. We are partners. Strong public schools are the backbone of a strong community. Booker T. Washington said, excellent is to do a common thing in an uncommon way. So we got to do more thinking outside the box and get this schools district engine ramped up and going. And we have a young, bright, brilliant new superintendent, and we want to wrap our arms around him and get this school system back to where, and even beyond, it should be way beyond where we were 20 years ago. But at that time, when I served on the school board, DeSoto was a place where people moved here, like we did, because of public schools, not private schools, public schools. So that it is very important that we work with our school district. And you know, as mayor, I will work with our school leaders to help close the achievement gap by reimagining how we help our students succeed. I will establish regular meetings with educational leaders, businesses, and key community stakeholders to ensure accountability for student achievement from top to bottom. And I will continue to champion experiential learning through internships and mentorships. Every time I visit with a company, and Renee Thomas is usually the representative from the school district who makes these site visits with us, myself, the EDC representatives, and the chamber representatives, as well as the school district representative. I ask the question, do you have internships for our kids? I ask that question. I know at least one of our students is working for DW Distribution. They want him full-time. And so, but they know he's getting his education, they support that, and I just believe they're going to support him through college, and then he'll have a job there if he wants it. And so there are some other internships, but I wanted to just highlight that one. That came as a result of a meeting with DW Distribution. So in the next 3 years, our public schools will show tremendous improvement. And as mayor and a former school board president, this will be a top priority. Okay? Now, let me say a little bit about quality retail dining, arts, and entertainment. And I'm just going to say we know we need to do better. And so as a city, we can no longer talk about better retail dining and entertainment options. We have to go out and make it happen. There are so many business leaders who call DeSoto home, and as mayor, I am committed to bringing each stakeholder to the table and delivering the quality options we've asked about for years. Our time is now, DeSoto. Our time is now. Also, leading DeSoto to become a city where everyone thrives. DeSoto is a great city because our people are great. And I have the energy, the drive, and proven leadership. I emphasize proven leadership to move our city forward. This means focusing on inclusive community engagement that takes local government directly to the people. And there's more on the website about how we want to do and want to lead our city so that everyone thrives. That is so important. Economic development with a strategic, inclusive, and balanced approach. My theme for my State of the City was excellence in balance. And this hopefully will let you know why I think you have to have a balanced approach in serving and doing the business of the city in order to achieve excellence. Well, our economic development plan must go beyond talking points and empty promises. We need action, and we need it now. To that end, I have created a comprehensive 6-part economic development plan to build the DeSoto we all want and that we all deserve. Number 1, workforce readiness. We are blessed with a variety of higher learning institutions in our proximity, and we must think creatively about how to improve our workforce readiness of our DeSoto residents. And so we're going to be establishing trade and higher education fairs to complement our annual, and I think we're going to be doing it biannually now, twice a year, our DeSoto Works Job Fair that has been very, very successful. And that was an initiative recommended and supported, even though it was in the work plan, but one of our own council members, Candace Quarles, I mean, she charged hard on that initiative. And so I was right there. We, as a council, have been right there with her on it because we needed it. And so I am proud to have created a first of its kind, moving right along, bachelor's degree program, and it's a partnership between city employees and UNT Dallas, part of this workforce raise. You want to do job fairs and do all of those kinds of things, but we need our own workforce here at the city of DeSoto to be an educated workforce. And we have some great people, but I am so proud of this partnership. And it just became effective this summer. The first cohort started last summer. And so if you go to our website, there's a young man who works here, part of my State of the City, Octavius, has a piece on the website talking about how this program has benefited him and how excited he is about it. So this is just a first step, and the long-term economic benefit, when I tell you, it's going to be tremendous. It will be tremendous. So again, readiness. Number 2, business recruitment and retention. We must be aggressive and intentional in recruiting high-quality businesses to our community and send a message to developers that DeSoto residents will not tolerate second-tier development. We must be intentional about that. I think it's some developers giving me a hand over here. Hampton Road redevelopment. You've been hearing a lot about our Hampton Road redevelopment plan. But Hampton Road redevelopment, as it relates to that, when I came on the council, it was pretty much sitting on the shelf. And I have to give my predecessor and mentor and good friend, State Representative Sherman, and our council for, the commitment to get that off the shelf and get busy with Hampton Road redevelopment. But because of you, the citizens of DeSoto, passing a bond referendum that included a $6.4 million proposition to redevelop, to purchase land, let me phrase that correctly, to purchase land between Hampton and Pleasant Run, Hampton and Beltline. That is the Hampton Road redevelopment corridor. And so what the city has been doing, in order to control your own destiny, I know people want us to do all kinds of things as it relates to certain pieces of property. But if you don't own it, it's hard to control. And the only way you can if you don't own it is through zoning. And we have a pretty, developers. And so Hampton Road redevelopment is well on its way. There will be a skill rehabilitation and nursing facility. The dirt is already turning on, that sits right off Hampton, down south from here. That should be up, and hopefully by the end of 2019, I'm just estimating, but the dirt is turning, and a lot of weather, depending on the weather, it controls sometimes the progress on the development of property. There are some other things that's coming. Just watch. Hampton Road redevelopment. Hampton Road will be widened, and we want to create more walkability. And I have a comment about that in just a minute. Let me move on to small business and entrepreneurship. Trying to get through this. Like I said, go to the website to see the entire piece. We must expand support for DeSoto small business owners. We talked about schools being the backbone of a community. Small businesses are also the backbone of a community. And we have a duty to actively promote our small businesses and the incubator that I mentioned earlier. And we want to create a culture that prioritizes use of our local businesses first. Shop DeSoto first. And I'm going to go on to number 5. The quality development. That quality development depends on robust transportation. transportation infrastructure is so important. And it's very costly. But as mayor, I want you to know that I too have a seat at the table on that particular matter. Warren has mentioned it to some degree, but I am on the Dallas Regional Mobility Coalition Board. I'm the secretary, well, I'm treasurer of that board. I'm secretary of the newly formed Transportation Management Association that's going to be working on getting transportation to the inland port and again providing transportation throughout this region to get our people to work, to good jobs. I also am the mobility chair for the Best Southwest Partnership Transportation Initiative. So transportation, connectivity to the rest of this region, very important. So you can count on my working on that. Walkability, number 6. DeSoto is only a little over 21 square miles. 21st century development demands convenience and access for our residents, and creating a more walkable community will improve our attractiveness to quality developers. When you say, I need a nod over here, I need an amen. Okay, I got it. Our long-term capital improvement projects must continue to include repaved streets, sidewalks, parks, and trails. We got to do that. We've got to improve our walkability. Now, I've said all this and I've been rushing through it, and I've encouraged you to go to the website to take some time to look at this and give me your feedback. Now, I can't accomplish anything without you, without the support of you and other citizens in this community, and the collaboration and engagement of all stakeholders, and I do mean all, including my colleagues on the council, the administration, and staff, the chamber, the EDC, the various organizations in the community. We all must continue to work together, because working together, there is absolutely no limit as to what we can achieve together. Can you say together? Together. Together. So DeSoto, can I count on your help to help me win this election, another 3-year term to serve as your mayor of this all-American city? Can I count on your vote? I can't hear you. Can I count on your vote? All right, would you help me win this election? And I believe you said yes. Please vote for me, Curtistene S. McCowan, a proven leader with a bold vision. Thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless our all-American city of DeSoto. God bless you.